www.offthecorner.net. You're watching the F.A.C.T Project here on the DJ Tiger channel. Shout out to DJ Tiger. F.A.C.T is an acronym that stands for Fundamental African-Centered Thought. The goal here on the F.A.C.T Project is to convey some thoughts and some information to members of our community. We have joining us today a guest all the way from the state of California, the great Baba R.W. Akile. Peace, Baba Akile. Thank you for joining us today, brother. Not sure if you can hear me. Oh, we got disconnected. So we see if we can make some arrangements to get Baba Akile back on the feed. He is joining us all the way from the state of California. And so we want to go ahead and have a conversation about the Black Power movement. And there are some subtle nuances of the Black Power movement that are often not spoken of. And so we're going to see if we can get Baba Akile to explain to us some of those subtle nuances of the Black Power movement that we don't normally get. Baba Akile, can you hear me? He's not hearing me. Okay, so let's see if I could do this real quick. Yeah, so we just lost him again. All right, either way, the campaign against Netflix, we haven't spoken about that in a while, but the campaign is still ongoing. For those that are interested, the great Dr. James McIntosh from CMOTAP has written an open letter to Netflix expressing the people's discontent for the way Netflix has portrayed Black people in the animated reboot of Good Times. Baba Akile, can you hear me? Oh, yeah. I can hear you now. Yes, I can hear you now. All right, brother. So as I mentioned, you joining us all the way from the state of California. And a good portion of Los Angeles is on fire right now. What can you tell us about those fires?
Well, actually, from where I am, I'm in the Baldwin Hills area, at the foot of Baldwin Hills, on the north side of Baldwin Hills. And from where the fire is taking place, it's about maybe, I'd say 15 miles. Actually, closer than that. It's close to me. Yeah, it's Malibu, an area that I would go hiking in called Temisco Canyon, which is right on Sunset, right across from Sunset. In other words, you enter Temisco Canyon to hike, and it's on the north side of Sunset. You enter on the north side of Sunset. All of that has been burnt. In drive time, that's like 25, 30 minutes away, driving through the city. And the smoke now is blowing south across the into the ocean area, across the ocean, into the ocean. It's not coming into the city at all. I'm attempting to place it from my left. It's about maybe 15, 20 miles away. And then up over the hills, that's like Malibu is, I would say, that's a good 40 minutes. Malibu is burnt. All of the housing that was on the beach people had, they had houses along the beach. Kanye West's house that was burnt.
Wow.
I mean, when I say burnt, 11 miles of oceanfront housing is
Wow.
gone.
Wow. And so how many
Now,
houses? Go ahead.
they're saying um, at least 6,000.
Wow.
Um, and then to my right, which would be northeast of me, about 45 minutes away, into actually, yeah, good 45 minutes away, um, in the Pasadena area. And on the north side of Pasadena, gone, a black community known as Altadena.
Whew. Okay.
Okay, in terms of uh, three of the wealthiest black communities in the country, Baldwin Hills, View Park, Ladera Heights, that's the area that I'm in right now. Pasadena, where Altadena is another. I don't know if it's in the top five, but it's a wealthy, affluent area. And when I say affluent, I mean you're just everyday people. People that you see all the time. Of course, you see in black folks wherever it is that you see us, that's where we are. And the Altadena area, Pasadena area, is where Jackie Robinson, the Robinson family lived. Uh, that has been burnt.
Wow.
Earlier today, 27% containment, whereas in the along the ocean area, 11%. Can you dig that containment? And right now, I'm not outside, of course. I haven't been outside this morning, but it appears to be, excuse me, it appears to be, I would say, it doesn't. There's not a lot of smoke in the area. You wouldn't think there's anything really taking place, and it's not too windy. But as the day moves on, the wind will pick up. When it picks up, it'll 25 miles an hour, um, with gusts maybe uh, 40, 50, even 60, or even 70 miles an hour in short spurts.
Mm.
This is what makes it difficult in terms of combating this particular conflict conflagration. I mean, at least 6,000 houses have been burnt. Oh, okay. Let me back up. In the Palisades area, it's not. It's a mixture of housing um, and businesses. In the Pasadena area, it's almost all residential, and about 4,000 houses have been wiped out.
Wow.
When I say wiped out, I mean, whew, whew, no, none, nothing.
Wow. Now let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. The rebuild is gonna take place at some point, and I
Of
believe
course.
with the rebuild will come gentrification. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I don't think so. Not it could, but here's what is here's the background that we've come across. They just busted. a white guy for arson, who was a real estate developer.
Wow. Are you serious?
Serious. I mean, I was just told that last night.
Wow. Wow.
And so they busted more than one arsonist. They busted arsonists in the Palisades area, and they busted an arsonist in the uh, uh, um, Pasadena, Altadena area. Pasadena is a incorporated city, whereas Altadena is city, but it's unincorporated, and it's up in the hills, up in right on the edge of the forest. Um, yes, right there on the edge of in the edge of forest. A lot of people that I know, have lost their homes. I understand that um, Representative Maxine Waters, one of her homes was burnt there.
Mm. Wow.
Um, Danny Bakewell, Danny Bakewell Jr., the son of the owner of the Sentinel newspaper, his house was burnt. Um, a lot of people. That's all I can say.
Okay. Okay.
I haven't been there, but you know, the report that I'm getting is that yes,
Okay.
thousands of houses have been lost, and at least 25 people have lost their lives.
Mm. That's terrible, man. We wish you guys the best, man. I hope we can bounce back from that in a positive way. I'm not sure what positive comes from it, but we hope that the area is going to recover fully at some point. Either way, I titled this talk "A Conversation with Black Power Movement Veteran." I would like to introduce you to my audience. What was your first or initial introduction into Black consciousness and the Black Power movement?
When I was in the army, when I was in Vietnam,
Mm.
actually, when I talked to some of my buddies who've known me over the years, they you were always militant. Well, I never thought about myself like that, but I wasn't a member of many organizations, but I was part of a movement. Um, I met um, Khalid Abdul Muhammad. Must have been 1970. At the time, he was known as Dr. Rushadeen. First of all, when I first met him, he was um, Harold
Harold
2X.
Harold Mo. Okay, Harold 2X. Okay.
Okay, and then he moved on to he became Dr. Rushadeen, and then he became Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad. He was named by Minister Farrakhan at Temple number 27 on Crenshaw and Stocker under I guess it was about a 8 foot uh, uh, star and crescent that was on top of it was a former uh, uh, cafeteria in the Baldwin Hills Crenshaw Mall. And at that time, this was before it had been developed into what it is today. But that was 1980, 81. Khaled and I were always good friends. I mean, I got along with everybody. I got along with us organization. I got along with Panthers. Uh, right after the Panthers, the shootout in December 1969. I remember going there. My to be wife at that time, my girlfriend, uh, uh, was she lived 445 and a half East 40th Place. And she commented about the fact that bam, 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 bam. That's how they woke up. The neighborhood was woken up by uh, gunshots. And she knew this is the Panthers being attacked. Um, that was a real bam, bam, boom, boom, bang, 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 shoot up for real, Wild Wild West kind of program. The Panthers defeated the LAPD in a shootout that began, I'd say, about 3:30 in the morning. And reason why I say they defeated them, that you have to imagine, here they are, the LAPD, helicopters, uh, uh, armored personnel carriers, all that. They were supposed to have taken them out immediately. The Panthers were supposed to have been taken down quickly. Thank you. And I say I give thanks to Geronimo Jijaga Pratt. Geronimo Jijaga Pratt was a Vietnam veteran, and he had stack up sandbags,
Mhm.
and they were digging a tunnel. They were in the process of digging an escape route uh, um, out of the office at 41st and Central. I mean, don't get the don't. I don't want to give the impression that this started on the day of the shootout. No, they had been doing this for a while, and it was the dirt from the digging that they were doing, the excavating that they were doing on the tunnel. That's how they got the sandbags together, and they stacked sandbags 8 foot tall
Mm.
on the. It was 2 stories, on the first story and the second story, according to Roland Freeman. Said that for most of the gunfire coming in, they were not breaching the bags. That's what kept them alive.
Interesting.
It is what Geronimo Pratt told them that enabled them to survive this shootout.
Wow. Now there was a
Uh,
shootout. Go ahead.
Wayne Farr, Wayne Farr said he was, the police were attempting to come through the front door. He said, I grabbed my trusty sawed-off shotgun and opened fire. And Bill, was it Bill Red? Paul Red. Paul Red grabbed his Thompson submachine gun and he opened fire. And they chased the police right back out the front door. My sister, Samaya Kambui, also known as Peaches, she provided water and they used cigarette butts. They would they broke the cigarettes off, used the butts, stick them up their nose, and they used towels and I believe that's what it was, towels and paper towels over their eyes to prevent the tear gas from affecting them. You have to imagine the police used everything to get them out, and they didn't get them out. They withstood a full scale assault. When
Mm.
I say full scale, I mean full scale assault for hours. starting about 3:30 in the morning, maybe let's say 4 o'clock in the morning till 9:30. And with that, um, Samaya said that she called the KFWB, which was a news station, and they're killing us. Somebody come help us. They're trying to blow us away out here. And she called her mother, and her mother told her to put to tear off a portion of her underwear. You know, her white undergarment, and she tore that off, and they all said they had a caucus as to what they were going to do. And Roland said that, well, we ain't gonna give up. If if they take you out, we just gonna die in here. And Samaya said that she stuck her hand out the window. I mean, forgive me. She stuck her hand out the door and she waved a petticoat. That's what it was. She waved her petticoat up and down, and they they stopped, and she stepped outside. She said, when I looked up, there were guns lining the buildings on the other side of the street, looking
Mm.
down at me. And she was just shocked. Actually, to be honest, they all suffered PTSD. You have to understand that. I was in Vietnam, so when you're in combat, it's something that you go through. The Panthers went through that at the behest of an attack. The first attack by a SWAT team established here in Los Angeles called the LA SWAT teams, Special Weapons and Tactics Team. Uh, their first their first incident that they were involved in was the attack of the Black Panther Party, the Southern California chapter of the Black Panther Party.
Didn't know that. Now you said your sister Samaya was present at this, and there is video of this. Well, was she involved with the Black Panther Party?
Of course she was.
Okay.
She's the one. The gun, pick up the gun, pick up the gun, put the pig on the run, pick up the gun. Got a solution, oh yeah, for the revolution. Oh yeah, gun, pick up the gun, pick up the gun, put the pig on the run, pick up the gun. That was her.
Okay.
And she ran the breakfast program.
Mm.
She had just come out of the Air Force that previous summer, and she got out. I believe it was August, and she had enrolled in the Black Panther Party and handling her thing. See, uh, she wasn't my quote blood sister, but we were comrades. You understand? And that's why I refer to her as my sister, because I soldiered with her. You understand? I soldiered with Roland Freeman. This when Roland Freeman and I were we were both in the UNIA, the Marcus Garvey Association, 457, um, the Marcus Garvey unit number, and so I always told Roland, I said, man, don't you let nobody ever say anything other than the fact that you were a soldier. Say you walk like a soldier. You and your brother, Ronald Freeman, yes, y'all are soldiers. And ironically, where they lived at 30th and Crenshaw was a building that my cousin, my mother's first cousin, my second cousin, Lorraine, um, she was their landlord. I didn't know that. I didn't know them back at that time. You know, uh, I believe Ronald was a he was a rabble rouser to
Mhm.
start off with, and then he got politicized into the Black Panther Party. Um, Black Panthers came out of here in Los Angeles. Um, Bunchy Carter. I never met Bunchy Carter. Bunchy Carter's uh, character, his persona was like he was he was like a hero. He was like above reality, above. Uh, uh, he was almost like Khalid Abdul Muhammad for real in terms of how he was regarded. He was a warlord for the Slauson village, the Slauson set. The Slausons, um, they politicized, like when he came, he was in jail. He met Panthers when he was in jail. When he came out, and I'm talking about he being a Bunchy Carter, he started the Southern California chapter of the Black Panther Party, and he was he was like a lightning rod. Other Panthers, came and joined up. He would come to a party, and they would come into the party. We had a lot of house parties at that time, and they said, "Okay, y'all, we're gonna take a moment of your time," and they cut the music down, and they throw a line, recruiting people.
Mm.
That's how the Panthers would do it. Now, the US organization, um, started by Hakeem Jamal, and Ron Karenga. Um, they weren't the only two, but those were the two, to my understanding, the two primary founders of the US organization. It was wherever us is, we are, or wherever we are, us is, or wherever us is, we are. That was from Hakeem Jamal. Hakeem Jamal was a cousin to Malcolm X,
Didn't know that.
and he and back up, um, Ernest McBride, Ernest McBride from Mississippi. I think can't think of the town, but his he writes now for the newspaper in Jackson, Mississippi. But Ernest had been invited by Pierre Mendel. Pierre Mendel was a former French um, resistance uh, fighter or a soldier against the German invasion into France. And he had come here to the States, and he established a school called I believe it's called the New West School. And uh, so Pierre called Ernest. He lived around the corner from the school. He said, "There's somebody here that you need to talk to. Um, you need to meet." And he went by, and he met Hakeem Jamal. And Jamal, they in conversation. Hakeem said that we started the US organization. And, we had a visit from some two white guys came, and they said, "Listen, we want you to attend this conference taking place on the East Coast. We don't want you to report back to us, but we're going to give you some money so you can go and be a part of this." So Hakeem said that, and I'm saying, because of course I wasn't there. I'm only going and saying what this journalist, um, Ernest McBride, said. He said that uh, Hakeem Jamal said they gave us this money to go and attend this conference. I believe it may have been in Newark. I don't even know exactly what year it is. We'd have to do some research to figure that out. But Hakeem said he didn't feel comfortable about taking money from white folks. He said that I didn't turn it back, but we went and we attended this gathering. Uh, I don't know what Karinga did in terms, because shortly thereafter we stopped associating with each other, and it had somewhat of a hostile relationship. And I mean, you have to say it's hostile when Hakeem would he come and disrupt Karinga meetings, um, and even slap him. I'm just going by what was said. Slap him around. Now
Mm.
that's I'm only going. Obviously, I can't talk to anybody because they're not here. Only Karinga is here. Hakeem Jamal lost his life. He was killed by forces that we think are MI6, British or English secret agent, like the equivalent of the CIA. What happened? He had taken this white girl to Trinidad and Tobago, and while they were there, he was staying with Michael X, which was he was characterizing himself after Malcolm, and uh, and I'm going to paraphrase what was said, that they dug a hole, and they had invited Hakeem Jamal and his white girlfriend to come out there to Malcolm, not Malcolm, forgive me. I don't want to say Malcolm. I don't want to give anybody the impression of Malcolm at all, but Michael X compound there in Trinidad. And supposedly they said, "Do you know why this hole is dug?" And she said, "No, I don't know. It's for you." They pushed her in the hole, and they cut her with machetes and buried her. Uh, Now, Hakeem Jamal, he was shocked. He wasn't part of this in terms of he hadn't planned on doing anything like this. Michael X felt that this white girl uh, was taking too much of his time, and so he called himself culling her out of Hakeem Jamal's life. You're spending too much time, or this white girl is taking too much of your time, and he murdered her. Well, come to find out, this white girl was related to British or English MI6, and now I believe it was 73, either 72 or 73, in a while in a phone booth. Y'all may not even know about phone booths. I gotta laugh about that because you don't see that today, right?
No, you
But
don't.
he was in a phone booth, and that's how he was killed. Somebody came up and killed him in Boston, and that was his tie to Malcolm. By the way, Ella was Malcolm's older sister, and so that's how they were. They're cousins with Malcolm, part of his family. Okay, um, but that is how Hakeem Jamal was taken out. Uh, and as I said, the white girl's family, they paid retribution on it.
Mm.
He may not have been part of it, but it was because of her going to Trinidad with him that she got murdered.
Okay, now
And let me just say, there's something about this in terms of they even did a movie about this, and it had to do with the British royal family who was they had videos of her with brothers that she hung out with. I don't know. I'm not talking about the white girl. I'm talking about a member of the British royal family was tied into this, and they did a bank robbery to get these videos. That's what the video is. In other words, they robbed a bank and they didn't want the money. They just wanted to get the videos, or the at that time I say a video. Of course, it was a film, 16 millimeter film of a member of the British family that was involved in some questionable behavior, and that's why, um, and that's the connection with Hakeem Jamal and the white girl, because as I said, a movie was done about this, and I at the time that I'm telling you this, I don't remember the name of the woman that was killed, but all this was in some type of a muddled type of relationship. Yeah, that was happening.
Okay, now
But go ahead.
let me jump in on you and ask you this. You mentioned Dr. Karenga, and years ago, I had conversation with an elder here in New York City, Baba Basim Chawi. He's on the radio here in New York City, and he was the first person I heard say that Kwanzaa was not totally started by Dr. Maulana Karenga, and that there were other people involved in the creation of Kwanzaa. What can you tell us about the creation of Kwanzaa?
When I talk about Kwanzaa, I begin with Malcolm X. When Malcolm went across the water, and he went to Addis Ababa, um, he went to you. Everybody is aware he went to Nigeria, he went to Ghana, he went to Egypt, he went to Saudi Arabia. Well, he went to Addis Ababa as well. Addis Ababa, it's the name is referring to the new flower, so that you'll understand what that name means. And it was a new city that was built by Ethiopian King Menelik. And so and his wife is the one that named the city Addis Ababa. Now, Malcolm went there 1964. The Organization of African Unity was less than a year old at this time, and Malcolm was invited to speak to uh, the OAU. This impressed him. He was of the, we must know, because he said that he was going to start something like this when he got back. And when he arrived in New York, May 31st or June 1st, 1964, he hit the ground running. He wrote a letter of invitation telling people that received the letter, uh, I want to start an organization, the Organization of Afro American Unity, June 24th through the 28th, here in Audubon Ballroom. I'm inviting y'all to come and be a part of this. Um, Let me give a little tag on that. Um, Ayuku Babu, founder of the Pan African Film Festival, uh, just out of the clear blue sky, he mentions that a mutual friend of ours, now passed on, his name was Akile, also known as Virgil Hill, uh, had hit on him to join the Omegas. And Babu said, "Hey, he politely declined, and he said, I'm flattered that you want me to join the Omegas, but I'm down with the revolutionaries. I'm with Malcolm, and I'm with Maulana, and that's where I'm going." And he referred to a letter that he had seen posted at the Aquarian Spiritual Center in Bookshop. The Aquarian and Spiritual Center and Bookshop was founded by Dr. Alfred Lagan. Now, uh, other people received that letter. One of them was Arthur Joseph Graham. Graham received the letter in San Diego. Graham had founded probably the first Black student organization in at that time. And the name of the organization was the Black Student Council. That's why he received a letter from Malcolm. Uh, the letter had gone to organizations and black bookstores of a nationalist mind. And as I said, Arthur Graham got the letter. And this impressed him to the point that he wrote a document. The title of the document is what people know of today as the Seven Principles. That's what it was. That's what Graham, because Graham wasn't, he didn't speak Swahili. He didn't speak any other language other than English. He was from, his family is from Jamaica. His family had been supporters of Marcus Garvey. And so we can rightly say a Garveyite family. Graham had been raised in this family. And Graham wrote the Seven Principles, and he arranged for one of the BSC, Black Student Council, to go to New York as a delegate of the Black Student Council and to present the Seven Principles. He had a brother by the name of Josh Van Woolfolk. And when I say this, I was at a Kwanzaa event and I was speaking to Jackie Ryan. Jackie Kimbrough was that's her maiden name. Jackie Kimbrough's father was a dentist in San Diego. Um, and she said this when I had mentioned Josh Van Woolfolk making the presentation about the Seven Principles, which she doubts. You know, she doesn't. She's a supporter of Ron Karenga, and so, but she said this about Josh Van Woolfolk. Josh, Josh Van Woolfolk and his brother, they were dynamite speakers. They made dynamite presentations. Because I didn't know Josh Van Woolfolk, I had, even though Graham had told me this, you know, it's like me speaking to you. You didn't know that a person was a dynamite speaker, a sprinter, was a champion, or a fine boxer, or whatever. You know, you don't know this about a person, but Jackie Ryan did. She knew, and when she said that, that put together a piece that I did not know. I didn't realize, because Art Graham, he could have gone to New York and he could have made a presentation himself. Would have been no problem. He, Arthur Graham, he was, he was a very young man at this time, but he had a desire to be a playwright, which he became a playwright. And I'll mention that in a moment. But he wanted somebody that had or could make a dynamite presentation to deliver the Seven Principles. And it was Josh Van Woolfolk that did this. Josh delivered the Seven Principles, and he did one heck of a job. Now, let me fast forward 1968. Um, Betty Shabazz has been made co-grand marshal of the Watts Festival Parade. The Watts Festival was one of the first festivals coming out of that time frame that was uh, part of uh, the the series of unrest. New York, 1964, was the first urban rebellion. I remember that uh, in '64, and in the summer of '64. Well, the Watts Rebellion jumped off in '65, and so from that came the Watts Festival, commemorating that. And so they had invited Murley Evers and Betty Shabazz, and they being Ron Karenga and the US organization. Um, they had invited not Ron, but Betty Shabazz and Murley Evers to be co-grand marshals for the Watts Festival Parade. And in Gao Damu, I'm popping a name to some of y'all you never heard of before, but when you see the first picture of Kwanzaa, the only surviving picture that I know of that catches the first Kwanzaa event on December 26, 1966, it was the spelling of the word Kwanza was put together, a skit for children was put together by Damu, Ngao Damu. And it was because of a girl named Kinamo who said, I want to be a part of this. So Damu included her. And he made another A, and he gave that one to his daughter, uh, Terry, and he gave the K to Kinamo. I just spoke to Kinamo yesterday. I'll be seeing her later on this morning. But Kinamo, uh, it was because of her desire to be a part of this children's. We can refer to it as a drama. K stands for Kenya, and Kenya is a country in East Africa where they speak Swahili. W stands for Watusi, and the Watusi are people from Rwanda where they speak Swahili, and so forth on down the line. Those are the only two references that I know that I say reference that Damu said to me. He may not have forgotten the exact line, but he had put this together, and that's what the children did. And by the way, we staged that just this past Kwanzaa. We spelled it, and we had the children go through the same thing. And I'm sure that they went through some of the same stuff that we went through in terms of children not knowing what it's all about. Yes, okay, I see you. Now, the girl the girl on the from my position on the far right that has the girl that has the letter, I mean the leopard skin motif in this print. She actually has string in her hand, and this is Damu's second child. The girl with the N, that's his daughter Tanya, also known as Baraka. I believe I believe Terry's name is Imani. I believe, and I know that her sister is Baraka, and the boy with the A right next to her on her right, that is their younger brother, and that's his name is Anza. Well, that's Sam Carr Jr. Sam Carr is in Gaudamu, and the girl with the K is Kinamu, and that's what was staged. And so we did the same thing again, only we did it from a right to left manner. I don't have me. I didn't send it to you, but I will see to it that you get it so that you can use it for further reference. But now I've gone quite a far on this. Now let me come back up. Before the picture was made, now remember, let me back up again and come back to Arthur Graham writing the Seven Principles. He had Josh make this presentation. The presentation was so uh, dynamic that Betty Shabazz would say in 1968 when she's co-grand marshal, because when Damu told me that she got into an argument with Ron Karenga, I couldn't for the life of me understand, well, why? What? I'm just shocked. What is she arguing with Karenga for? It took me many, 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 many years to finally upon because I didn't meet Arthur Graham until 1984, I believe it was 84. Yeah, about 84, 85 in that time frame. That's when I met Arthur Graham. And it still would be years later that you know how you hear something, well, so and so did such and such a thing. I had heard obliquely, I'd heard Art Graham wrote the Seven Principles, and you know, you hear something and it comes in one ear and goes out the other. I didn't know, you know, I mean, I just thought somebody was talking. Well, when I finally sit down in depth, and I've been knowing Art for a long time. When I tell you I've been knowing him for a long time, I've been knowing him for a long time. And he broke it down to me. He said, "Listen, uh, after Malcolm was assassinated, we kind of went underground. Everybody was going through a shock that Malcolm was taken out. It got us. It took us a moment to settle back down and get stuff together. And so now uh, the US organization had Joe Vinson, Vinson. Joe Vinson would later be named Chochese by Karenga. Joe Vinson he was given the task. Joe Vinson was a member of the Black Student Council out of San Diego. He went to Los Angeles and he approached Karenga, said, "Listen, man, we understand that you speak Swahili and you've been teaching it, so we would like to have you to translate the titles, Seven Principles, Unity Through Faith, respectively, into Swahili. Leave," and here's what Graham said. We told him to leave the English text. This is Graham's wording. Leave the English text alone. So this is how the Swahili came into that. As Graham said, he did a great job referring to Karinga. Um, Now it was according to Gloria Vinson. Gloria Vinson, the wife of Joe Vinson. We invited Karinga to come to San Diego to make a presentation, and he came, made his presentation. Following the presentation, Joe called Art because Art didn't attend. He didn't want to attend the meeting. Just saying, that's what he said. Uh, they had, I say they, he didn't particularly want to be around Karinga. But, you know, they knew that he spoke Swahili. He had an organization that was pushing from a cultural perspective. And so on the telephone, Graham says, "Look, we want you to start a holiday, December 26th to January 3rd. Base it around the seven principles and give it an African name." Bam. That was the seed dropped to Karenga right there.
Okay,
And
let me ask you a question before you go further. I interviewed you for my book years ago, and we talked about Kwanzaa, and you talked about the impact that Amy Jacques Garvey and Marcus Garvey had with respect to the aims and objectives of the UNIA. How does that factor into what you're saying?
Graham, you know, in reviewing exactly what it is, because at the time that I had spoke to you about this was a couple years ago, I do believe. Uh, Graham had said that first I thought that he had seen the aims and objectives of the UNIA and ACL, but he said that Amy Jacques Garvey had sent him a collection of Garvey's books, the works of Marcus Garvey. And when he saw the aims and objectives, he marveled as to how close they were to the seven principles that he wrote. So I now would say that having been raised in a Garvey family, that is what Graham was writing from. That it was part of the line that Garveyites talked about the aims and objectives of the Marcus Garvey, the organization, the UNIA and ACL. So from that perspective, that was how it impacted upon him, and it only makes sense. Malcolm was Garvey. Let's put it like this: Alfred Lagan referred to Garvey as a harbinger of something coming forward. We can look back now and we understand 1914 through the 1920s that Garvey was the harbinger telling us something is coming, something great is coming. That's how Lagan referred to him. Uh, Malcolm was from a Garveyite family. His father was a recruiter of the Garvey for Garvey, living there in, of all places, Omaha, Nebraska. That's a, you wouldn't think of Omaha, Nebraska would be a place like that, but yeah, there it was, right there. Uh, and Graham Garvey, Garveyite family, that he was impressed enough of Malcolm and about Malcolm, and shared that energy of intellectual thought, that Black nationalist thought, to write the seven principles, and that's what came about. So that's the tie. And I'll say this, that the groundwork that Garvey set and left was uh, the aims and objectives, or contained within the in objectives, and that's how the seven principles came about.
So Dr. Karenga is not the sole creator of Kwanzaa or the Nguzo Saba, just for clarity.
Uh, I don't think so. I
Okay.
know, I know that he's not, for one. And the other thing is this. Let me say this. He claims to be, I created this in 19, must have been 1980, 81. We were giving, uh, we had an award ceremony, and one of the people that received the award was Karenga. And Imada, his lieutenant at the time. After I gave him the award, uh, following the people are now eating and so forth, Imada came to me and said, "I can't accept this. I want you to change the word." He said, "If you change the word so that the wording, so that it would say that he's the creator of Kwanzaa." I said, "I'm not going to change that, brother." I said, "I don't see him as the creator. He was one of the, because it stated that he was the vessel through whence this came. At the time, I just referred to it as the vessel, but I now we should say the chombo. Um, that is part of Kwanzaa, which Kwanzaa language, or the ethos. I gotta hang this up. Somebody is calling me. I gotta. Okay, it was my sister calling. All right, now anyhow, that I had said that he was not. I didn't view him as being the creator, and so uh, I had asked Damu if I could make a contribution to Kwanzaa, and he had said, "Well, whatever it is you do, just don't take away from the seven principles." And so, what I did, I observed the Kwanzaa setting, and I observed what wasn't mentioned: the basket, which is referred to as the kikapu, and the bakuli. The bakuli is a bowl that, though these two represent chombo, or vessels in which the fruit goes. Well, the vessel of the chombo is also where information may come. Maybe a teacher can be referred to as the chombo, because that's where chombo, from this person, you may have learned something. This was the vessel that enabled you to acquire some information, or acquire a point, or to learn something. Somebody that you learned it from was your chombo, the person that gave it to you. Well, uh, I added these things to what is now known as Kwanzaa, and that's how symbols came to be identified with the seven principles. I uh, my mother passed away August 9th, 1975, and following her demise, I remember it was after the repast and everything, and I was talking to my aunt, her older sister, and I had, Auntie, what is our family story about our name being Coffee? Was that the slave master's name? And she said no, and she was emphatic. That's our African name, quote unquote. And when she said that, it clicked in me because I already knew that coffee was actually Kofi, and that Kofi meant that our people were a Khan. Being a Khan, I'm over. I mean, some of you may name may know this name, David Hammond. David Hammond is a fine artist. He had a studio here in Los Angeles at Second Avenue in Slauson, and I'm up here in his studio babysitting my son Quayle, and I'm waiting for the children to come out of Marcus Garvey School. Um, and I'm looking through some of his books because I'm on a how to enhance Kwanzaa, excuse me, how to enhance the seven principles. And I'm up here looking through his library of art, and I see I believe it was a magazine, and this magazine, the I believe the title of the article was African uh, Symbols, Ancient and Modern. And I see a Adinkra symbols. And I said, oh, wow, this comes from my culture. Wow. That's how it hit me. And when I saw that, I said, please show me the symbols or some symbols that would represent the Nguzu Saba. And I've sent that to you. You've seen that, I'm sure. Those symbols are what stood out to me. And uh so I immediately, that was, we're talking about my mother passed August 9th, 1975. So we're talking about September. I'm working on doing a calendar. I was just getting into the concept of a calendar. The days of the week would be associated with the seven principles. And the first calendar I did was on 8.5 by 14 with tear off sheets. They were stapled to the 8.5 by, and it was goldenrod in color. And uh, it was uh, it was still January, February, and so forth on down the line. That's what my mind was at that time. And so let me fast forward to 1976. I'm working on the second calendar, um, and I'm at Saidi Publications when who was there? Roger E. Mosley, the in the series, the not a sitcom, but it was a adventure series, Magnum PI, private investigator, uh, and his buddy was the helicopter pilot. The helicopter pilot was Roger E. Mosley. He was there at Saidi having something done by Indesha, uh, and Indesha was the owner and proprietor of Saidi Publications. They did the printing of the US organization books and flyers, etc., etc. And while I'm there proofreading the 77, this is 76 now, and I'm proofreading the calendar for the coming year. It's 77, and in comes Karinga. He, his wife, and Wasifu. Uh, Tia Moya, Maulana Karinga, Tia Moya, and Wasifu, his bodyguard. Tia Moya was his wife, and why he gravitated over to me, I don't know. I don't know why he just came over, but he came over to where I was doing my work. I'm busy doing my work. I'm not, I wasn't even thinking of him coming through that day, even though he came. Hey, how you doing, brother? And I'm continuing doing my work. He came over, and when he came over, I showed him, said, this is Umoja, and this is Kujichagulia, and this is Ujima, and so forth, and down the line. His words were, you've done quite a bit of research. I said, well, I've done a little bit, just like that. And that's all we said to each other. 3 years later, maybe 4 years later, I see a complete different set of symbols. That said to me that he was not interested in any kind of unity at all. That said to me that he was not embracing. He did not embrace what I had done. To me, now I'm just gonna say from my perspective, maybe I'm way out of order, but I would think if somebody said something to me, for example, let me give you Dadisi Sanyika, my teacher, a brother that I trained with. Uh, I went through Frang Do, which was a type of Korean martial arts. And when him being a martial artist, he said, kick like you punch. And so I worked on that. And I remember saying to Dadisi, watch this one. And he smiled. He was, oh, right on. You hit it. In other words, I could deliver a kick in the same way I could punch. It was seamless. And it made him feel good. He was supportive. Uh, I would think that if I my my greatest student was Odusholo Osanyi. I met him as Michael Bonner he was from New York City. I met him when he was 16 years old. He is a Babalao today, and he's like the greatest student that I can raise up and speak about, because as I shared what I learned from him, that's what he was able to go on and further his studies and advance and go even further. This is what I would think. There's somebody that would say, I'm the creator of this, that you would be embracing what was shown to you, that you'd be supportive. That is not at all what I experienced during.
Okay, now,
All good.
Baba Akil, I gotta jump in on you, because we're actually over time. But one last question, just for clarity: when we see symbols next to the Nguzo Saba, the idea to do that was your idea. Is that correct?
I was the chombo, or the vessel through which these symbols came.
Okay. Okay, we're gonna end it there. I gotta bring you back, brother, because you're such a fountain of information. I could just open the mic and just let you speak. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. There's more pieces to the story that we have to put together. Go ahead.
I hope I didn't offend you. I just was attempting to share with you what I know. And I want you all who are younger than me to know what I went through.
Understood. Understood. We appreciate your time. And I know you had to get up early over there on the West Coast, so we definitely appreciate that. And I'm gonna be in touch, brother. We're gonna bring you back again soon so you can connect some more dots for us. Will you be willing to do that?
Of course,
Nice,
by
nice.
all means.
Okay, so you know
Okay.
what I gotta do? I gotta get you on here with my brother Kwabena Rasuli because you know some of the same people.
Okay. I'm
So,
down.
Okay. So I'm gonna make that happen. I'm gonna bring you two on so you two could chop it up, man. That's gonna be interesting.
All right.
All right, brother.
Take care.
Thanks again for joining us. We're gonna talk again soon. All right.
Yes, sir. Be good. Be safe.
All right, definitely. Peace. Thank you again.